Is your business sellable? 70 to 80% of businesses are not. And what if you don't want to sell your business? According to today's guest, building a healthy and well-run business is very much the same thing as building a sellable business. Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. Listen as we discuss best practices to streamline your operations, increase your profits, and ultimately create healthier, more stable, and more valuable companies. Today's guest is Tanner Noble, and he is a broker with the Transworld Business Advisors. He's a business broker. He helps business owners and leaders buy and sell businesses. It was a fun conversation. It went a lot of different directions, and what really stuck out to me that I think you will enjoy is how Tanner has used his entire career as lessons learned to build his network and add value to people along the way that has ultimately led him to his current career and really where he feels he belongs and what he has built towards for the last 20 years is being a business broker. And so that was one of the lessons that stuck out is what it looks like to really build a network by building real relationships with people, authentic relationships with people, and continuing to find ways to connect them to others, to add value to everyone in his life. And so listen along. There's a lot of tidbits here on what makes a business sellable, what makes a business valuable, and how you can control that. And so I think you'll get a lot out of it. Enjoy the podcast. All right, we are live. Welcome to the podcast, Tanner Noble.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Well, let's jump right into it. Why don't you tell our listeners what do you do for a living? What do you do for a vocation these days?
Yeah, so right now I am hyper-focused on helping business owners sell their businesses. I am a business broker for Transworld Business Advisors. And Transworld it's based out of West Palm Beach. My corporate headquarters is in Houston, and I run the Lubbock office for Transworld. So I'm a business broker. I help business owners sell their businesses and buyers find a business to buy.
Okay. How, I mean, explain it to me like I'm five. What does a business broker do?
It's a good question. So, there comes a time in every business owner's life when they decide, they built up this thing for however many years, and they decide it's time to transition to the next phase of their life, whether that be going on to a new business or retiring or, whatever the case is. And a lot of owners don't have the ability to transition the business to someone either within the business or within the family. So, some business owners will bring in their kids to take over the business. Some will bring up current management employees to take over. And then others don't have that option. And so that's where I come in, is I help them basically come up with, what does it look like to sell your business? What is the value of the business? And sort of what is the process to get to transition your business to the next owner? Yeah.
Is that, that sounds complex and like there's a lot of moving parts to that. I guess, like, first and foremost, is there a need for that? Are there a lot of businesses that sell, or like what does the current market look like?
That's a great question. Yeah. So, there's these statistics going around today that there's 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. And I think it's like 7 or 8% of those are owners of small businesses.
Okay.
And so if you do the math, that's a whole lot of businesses every day that are coming for sale. And that's just from the baby boomers. That's not, there's lots of businesses that sell with other generations as well. So is there a big need? Yes, there's a huge need. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I was going to say, one of the questions I think you were going to ask is like, sort of, how did I get in the business?
Yeah.
And, I got in the business because I was looking to buy a business. And in Lubbock and just West Texas in general, as I'm looking for businesses to buy, there was just not a whole lot of deal flow. I'm on all of these databases where I receive businesses that are listed for sale. And there are so many businesses for sale in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, and Austin. And there just was not deal flow in Lubbock in West Texas. And so I started kind of looking into that, and I realized there's not really just a specific niche business broker in Lubbock that's all they're focused on. And so that made me decide to look into what if I became that broker. And about the same time as I was investigating that, I got an email from Transworld that they were looking to start a Lubbock office. And so I kind of followed that thread a little bit, and it looked like this is a perfect fit. This is, what I was kind of looking to do on my own, but they've already got, 40 years of history of doing this very, very well. And they've built out all the processes and advertising and marketing and, the legal work that goes behind selling a business. They've already got that all figured out. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and start that. And now that I've been in it, I am seeing so many business owners who are, looking to sell their business within the next, call it year to 5 years. And it has blown me away that there is this need, a huge need for someone like me to come in and help facilitate those transactions. The hardest thing for me to see is whenever I'm looking at these, or, talking to a business owner, and they're like, I kind of basically came to them too late, or they came to me too late. And they're like, yeah, I'm ready to just retire. And they're, 70 years old. They've built this business, but they don't really know what options they have to transition it to the next owner. They just think that either there's no buyer for them, or they don't even know that, or they don't know how to do that, how to sell their business. And so what they end up doing is just saying, when the lease is over, we're going to just close the doors. And they could, maybe they've got $100,000 worth of business value, or maybe they've got $1 million worth, and they're just going to close the doors. And that just, to me, that is just not right. Like, I want to help those people transition what they've built for the last however many years. It's their baby. For most of these business owners, your business is your baby, and you've nurtured this thing for years and years. And you are, you should be able to capitalize on what you've built, that the value that you have created, not only for yourself, but for your employees, your customers, your vendors. Like, there's a whole network of people that your business touches, and all of those people deserve to, for you to continue this thing you've built with a new owner.
Okay, there's so much there. As a business broker, most people who are somewhat familiar with that, when they initially hear that, they think of a realtor or some kind of a commission sales job where you're just going to make introductions and wipe your hands of it. And my exposure to this so far is there's a lot more that goes on into it, where it could take 3 months, it could take 2 years, depending on how ready the business is. But can you kind of speak to some of the different hats you wear as a business broker, and some of the services that you provide, like helping them increase their valuation, and some of the things that you're helping them do behind the scenes to get there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's funny because I do get often business owners are like, well, you're just going to make an introduction. That's just like you said, like, you're just going to introduce me to, make a relationship and earn this fee. And that's not true at all. I mean, so it starts with helping you come up with, where is your business position today? The biggest mistake you can make as a seller of a business is to decide, hey, I want to sell my business and I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to go find a buyer, because you're going to take your foot off the gas of the business, and your revenue, your all the projects you're working on, all the things you do as an owner are going to start decelerating, and that's going to lower the value of your business. So right out of the gate, like, I want you to know, like, that's the worst thing you can do, is take your foot off the gas of your business. You want to be going full throttle and getting as much revenue and business as you can in order to increase the value of your business. So that's why you engage a broker from the beginning, is to so you don't, let an expert do it. Don't do it yourself. Think you can do it. As far as the services, so the first step is to, like I said, to get in there and help you figure out where is your business at today? What is the value today? What do I think I could sell it for? And with that comes a lot of nuance. I mean, every business is so different. And so, it's my role to kind of help walk you through that, to figure out what is the value. From there, we decide, is it something that you think is the value at a place where you think that you can sell it today and you would be happy getting that value? For some people, it doesn't matter. They're in a health situation, or they're in a, they have to move for some reason or whatever. Like, there's an immediate need to sell their business and they don't have a choice. It's like, the value is what it is, and we're going to sell it for this today.
Yeah. It's almost too late at that point to change things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For others, maybe they're just thinking about the potential of selling their business, and maybe the value isn't where they want it to be. Well, another service that I offer is to help them see, okay, here's where you're at today, but here's where you could potentially be if you focus on these things to help, grow the value of your business.
For example. So
there's really three main ways to grow the value of your business. One is to increase the revenue. And, that's pretty obvious. It's get more sales.
Yep. More sales, more customers, more contracts, more.
Yep.
Yada, yada,
bringing in more revenue into the company.
Okay.
The second way is to increase your efficiencies. So, maybe you have grown this business for many, many years. You've got a bunch of employees, and maybe some of them have been there for so long that maybe they just aren't, pulling the weight that they should. And so maybe it's, helping you figure out how to sort of streamline the expense of labor. For most businesses, labor is the biggest expense.
Right.
And so maybe it's cutting that, or maybe there's other line items on the P&L on the expense side that you could kind of trim the fat, so to speak, to help raise the bottom line. The third way to increase the value of a business is by decreasing the risk. So some business owners who have a small business, maybe their business is worth, say, $100,000. So that we'll call that business A. Business A is worth $100,000. Business B is worth $1 million. Now, in order to get to that, basically you're coming up with a multiple of profit. And so for business A, if a buyer comes in and buys this $100,000 business, they step in. Most likely they're going to be the one that's running the business, doing most of the things in the business at that size of business. If they make a mistake after they buy this business, and it's a $100,000 mistake, that business is gone. So the risk to that buyer is very high that the business could go away by making one mistake of many mistakes could be made.
Right.
So that's very risky. So the multiple on that is going to be lower. It's going to be 1 to 2 times, probably, most likely. Versus business B, who's got $1 million valuation, they probably have a profit, of, I don't know, $250,000, maybe $500,000. And so if the buyer comes in and makes a $100,000 mistake there, the business isn't going to go away. Their bottom line is going to suffer. They're not going to get to go on that trip to Hawaii this year, but they're going to survive. They're going to be able to go through the next. So that business is less risky, and so therefore the multiple will be higher. So maybe the profit is $300,000 in that business, and the multiple is 3 times, because to get to that million, or close to $1 million. So anyway, de-risking the business is the third way, and it's like I said, that's just one example of how you can de-risk it is by the bottom line, or that's one example of riskiness. And there's many more that I can help business owners, look at to see how do we de-risk this.
Yeah, I think things like customer concentration, making sure,
Yes.
You don't have any one customer with more than, 15 to 20% of the revenue. Putting in place contracts with certain vendors, for repeat services, basically automatic revenue, creating redundancies in training positions. If one person, heaven forbid, gets hit by a truck and they're no longer in the business, you have other people that can take their place. And so that is kind of a good segue to one of our other businesses, which is Stag Business Coaching. And a lot of what we do is to help de-risk businesses. Is basically, there's some vision for the company, whether it's, moving revenue from $1 million to 2 million, or whether it's getting ready to sell. And a lot of the curriculum and tools that we give businesses is to help them basically make a business sellable, which is also making a business healthy, stable, more predictable, and more enjoyable to operate if they don't want to sell. And so,
yeah, absolutely. And I would say, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would say to any business owner listening to this, all three of those things that I just mentioned that are ways to increase your value, the increasing revenue, increasing efficiencies, and decreasing risk. Those three things are all three things that Stag Coaching can help with. Like, I mean, if you have any desire to do any of those three things to your business, highly recommend going to Stag Coaching, because they can help you do those things just with the tools you just described.
Okay, so we kind of jumped into it hot and heavy, but how are you able to advise these people? Like, what background do you have how did you get here? I feel like you didn't, 16-year-old Tanner wasn't like, what, I want to help people buy and sell businesses.
No, I wasn't. I never thought I would be doing this, actually. Didn't know it existed even, really, until the last few years. I think so I have a finance degree and have always been involved in some way in accounting and finance in small businesses. And so, I think I understand how a business runs, and how on the accounting and finance side, like how to look at numbers, and as a partner with you in our real estate businesses, we're always looking at opportunities to buy commercial real estate. And so, like, especially in the last couple of years, we've looked at, apartments to buy that are $30 million, $50 million. And with that comes, I mean, that's a business in and of itself. One property is a business,
Mm-hmm.
And so analyzing those has really taught me a whole lot about how to value assets and how to look through a P&L and see, how to help add value to an apartment. And that translates very well to just business ownership. Business valuations as well. And then also, just like I had mentioned before, I was looking at buying businesses since 2019, I think, is when we first started looking. And so I've looked for 5 years. I've been looking at analyzing businesses for sale and trying to figure out how to buy them. And so I have a lot of experience in just looking at tons of different businesses and seeing what their value is and why and how they run their businesses and things like that. And so those things have definitely helped me get to this spot. And then finally, just now that I've been a broker and like seen deals and spoken with, hundreds of sellers now, I can see quickly if the business is sellable today, how to get it there if it's not, and or if it's something that I even want to work with. Like, one thing I didn't mention earlier is like a part of that valuation process and like finding out what is the risk to this business is like a mutual thing. Like, I'm looking at, do I want to take this business on to list? Because my time is, valuable too. And I want to focus on businesses that I think I can sell. And so it's part of it is like figuring out, am I a good fit for you, business seller, to sell your business? And then on the other side, it's, are you a good business for me to list? So anyway, those things are like, have what made me qualified to do this.
I'd made some parallels between commercial real estate and, business valuations. And I mean, there's some of that I hadn't quite connected the dots out loud. But I mean, you're exactly right. How you value commercial real estate is you value it like a business. The income minus the expenses, it's a multiple. Essentially, it's a multiple of that bottom line. And so, for the listeners here, we've spent a decade, buying and operating and selling commercial real estate, and have developed a playbook where we've underwritten thousands and thousands of commercial assets valued in millions and millions of dollars, and you've developed an eye for that, where you've done it over and over, and you can look at financials and see the story that it's telling and see the inefficiencies. And basically we have 12 to 15 kind of improvement projects that we've implemented over and over on each asset that we buy. We bought over $100 million worth of commercial real estate in our career so far, and so many of those lessons are applicable to businesses. And that's part of what drew us to this. Was this is such a need. We've touched on that, the silver tsunami of boomers that are retiring every day. There's such a need there, and so much of the skill set that we've developed over the last decade can really serve our local community, because a lot of this ecosystem, this business brokerage merger and acquisition ecosystem doesn't really exist in Lubbock, in West Texas, and so that's fascinating. What, I guess, take me through your day to day. What does your day to day look like right now?
Yeah, so it's different every day, sort of.
Right up your alley.
Which I love. But right now I'm really focused on finding businesses to sell, and so with that comes I'm meeting with sellers a couple of times a week, hopefully more than that even. But like, as an example, this week I went to the Permian Basin to talk with the seller. And so, I drove 3 hours away to meet with the seller. And so anyway, I'm having those kinds of meetings a couple of times a week. As I'm listing businesses, I'm getting a lot of buyer inquiries on those businesses. So buyers are, emailing, calling, wanting to know more about the businesses I have listed. And so I'm speaking with them, explaining to them sort of what the opportunity is. Some of those buyers, I'm able to, sort of, because of the listings that I have, I'm able to redirect them to another listing I have that maybe would be more fitting for them. And then, just trying to network with people that can connect me with business owners who are looking to sell their business or buy other businesses. Lots of time on the phone lately.
How are you? This is awesome and kind of crazy how this has developed. How are you finding people that want to sell their business? What are you doing?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. When I first started, Transworld is big on this thing called drop letters, and basically it's a letter that we put on business owners' doors. That has generated a lot of leads for me. My Houston office is also doing email and phone marketing, so I'm getting about half of my leads are coming through the office that way. And then another is just like my circle of influence. I mean, like you, Albert, and our other partner Steven, and just people we know are focused on, well, you and Steven especially are focused on helping bring opportunities. And so I've gotten several from that. And then other, people I know are also sending me opportunities that way. And then also we have found a couple of different strategic buyers who are looking to make acquisitions to help grow their own portfolio or to, bolt on to their existing operations. And so through that, we have been able to connect with a couple of people in the industry that are going out on our behalf looking for businesses that are for sale, potentially for sale, that meet those buyers' criteria. And that has been awesome lately. Like, we've got 2 guys right now. Well, we have more than that, I guess, but 2 that are hyper focused on it.
Right. And
they're bringing opportunity after opportunity. I mean, there's so many businesses out there that are potentially for sale. And, the old saying is everything's for sale at the right price. But it's really true in the business world. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Those are the biggest avenues that I'm seeing leads come in.
That has been a unexpected but super fun part of this building this ecosystem is going to, in our capital company, going to our friends and family investors, and most of them are business owners, and asking, hey, are you looking to grow? Would there be an acquisition for your business that could help, pour gasoline on that fire, essentially? And that has been received so well. And you get a look behind the curtain, and you kind of get to see our friends and family in their best light. You get to see them shine in what they do. And then basically they're painting a picture of what they're looking for. And then we have two guys that are hyper focused on that. Like, there's been a lot of hours every day, driving around all around West Texas and knocking on doors and calling their database. And but really, we've got 5, 6, or 7 guys that are spending quite a bit of time, essentially trying to find what our strategic buyers are looking for. And that is just, it's so synergistic with everything we're doing that I can't wait. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, it really is exciting. There's a pause right now maybe pause is not the right word. There's a lot of hesitation right now from some people who are like, interest rates are high. The election is coming up. We just had the debate last night, and there's a lot of people that are just kind of concerned about what's going to happen in the next, really 12 months, I guess. And so there's a lot of hesitation from people out there right now, and just kind of waiting to see. Like, I just kind of want to wait and see. And so that's interesting, but it's just crazy to me how many people are out there just don't have a plan for what they're going to do with their business. They know that they're ready to transition, but they just don't know how to do it. Mm. And with these people, these guys that we're talking about, I mean, they're going out there and they're finding them, and it's been awesome to see the results of that. And I think we're on the beginning, sort of leading edge of this as a brokerage in Lubbock. And I mean, over the next 5 years, this thing's gonna blow up, and we're gonna be able to help so many people in the West Texas in the M&A space, grow or transition their business. And one of my main goals with this is, how do we get, like, when those businesses sell, how do we get it to where we're bringing in buyers of those businesses that are going to stay in Lubbock? Like, how do we keep that money in the Lubbock, in West Texas ecosystem? Because, a lot of private equity buyers or there's these, business or entrepreneurship through acquisition type people who they're following the Harvard Business School plan.
Right.
And they're going out, they're an executive somewhere, or they're, maybe military, and they're looking for, what are they going to do? They don't want to spend their energy at a 9-to-5 for some big corporate company. They want to go buy a business. Well, they're looking those people are coming from New York and California and all over the country, really all over the world. And so how do we help those buyers? How do we sell them on, this is why you need to come to Lubbock to buy this business, and here's why you want to stay here. This is a great place to grow a family and raise a family. I mean, it's a great place for that. It's super friendly, super conservative, very business friendly. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just so many benefits to Lubbock and West Texas. It's like, how do I, get out there and market that to the world so that they can come and buy businesses in Lubbock? And then how do we keep that money here and just build the Lubbock economy? I hate thinking about selling, like a large manufacturing business, and then the buyer comes and then they just move it to California or Arizona or Florida or whatever. Like, I don't know. I have a passion for wanting to help build that ecosystem and economy in Lubbock.
That's awesome. And so much of the conversations that we have with business owners, they haven't, really been approached by business brokers, those wanting to buy or sell their business, but they've heard stories of private equity groups that, come in from Chicago or whatever, and completely turn over the labor force in a couple of years, and just hear all of these horror stories. And I think that's important, and, kind of a niche that you and we are trying to fill is, hey, there's a lot of talent in West Texas. There's a lot of talent in Lubbock and the surrounding, the Midland, Odessa, the Amarillo, the El Paso. There's a lot of talent there and networks there that can pour right back into the communities that we're at.
Absolutely. I mean, especially like, we've got Texas Tech, Lubbock Christian, Wayland Baptist, South Plains College. Like we've got all of these great resources for jobs, like for people coming out of, college and ready to go into the workforce. And yeah, exactly. How do we keep those jobs here?
You have a very diverse and eclectic career. You've been in a lot of different industries and had a lot of different jobs. And so maybe touch on that a little bit. You do have a breadth of experience, but I think, touch on that. But what do you wish you could tell 24-year-old Tanner about business that you didn't have then?
It's a great question. I think that the biggest thing I've learned since 24-year-old Tanner is how important relationships are. Business is all about relationships. It's about trust. It's about value. It's about commitment. And, in a relationship, those are the things that make or break a relationship. And, I've seen so many examples of successful businesses who focus on their relationships and focus on strengthening and growing relationships, whether that's as a business owner, whether that's with your employees, with your customers, with your vendors and suppliers, the community, like all of those things. Like if you are focused on strengthening and building relationships with integrity, trust, value, and commitment, like you're going to do really well. And as a 24-year-old, I kind of was like, I'm just out there to go get a paycheck. Like I just want to get a paycheck. I want to buy a big house. I want to buy a big car, whatever. And I wasn't really focused on the relationships. I was just focused on keeping my head down, doing a good job, working hard, whatever. And I think if I had taken the time to, especially with like people that are ahead of me, because, oftentimes we're timid and or scared to reach up above where we are. And because we just think that people that are ahead of us don't want to have anything to do with us. We have an ego. And often, most of the time, that's not true. Like most of the time, if you reach up to someone who's ahead of you, like they're going to want to help you. You got to put in the work, and you got to be the one that's like setting it, scheduling a lunch with them or a coffee or whatever. But if you're willing to do that, most of the time people are willing to meet with you and talk to you. And really, like as a 24-year-old, I wish that I would have done that and not really thought, if I do this coffee with this person, I'm going to get X out of it. Like one coffee is not going to get you anything most of the time. It's building a continued relationship, having a commitment to learn from that person and, give them value as well. Those things will take you so far. I've learned that for sure.
That you are our low-key extrovert that am tickled every time we go on a work trip at, whether it's the apartment association or whatever, there'll be some social, and we talk to people all day long. And at 5:00, I am drooling. I have like run out of words to say, and you're just getting started, and you're in the middle of it. It could be titans of our industry. You're in the middle of it, yucking it up, developing real relationship. And I want to commend you on that. Like you have such a unique gift to have really to build authentic relationship. Like you do that over and over and over. And it's not this like transactional thing like you were describing. It's like this real authentic relationship where you like get to know the person and you get to know their family and what makes them tick. And then, once you have like understood, listen for understanding, then you've done this so much, you have this network of people that, hey, I think you really need to meet this person because they can help you with X, Y, and Z. And you've just done that for a decade. And the business brokerage is just another extension of that, I mean, I feel like you're exactly where you need to be, where God wants you, with your unique gifts, your passion for the community, your, the networking gifts, the decades of a breadth of business experience with an education in finance. Like, how crazy is that? Looking back on the last 20 years of all of that experience building to where you're at today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I will say, about the like sort of extrovert or like going up to people like that. That's something that I definitely have practiced. Like, it's not something that I was necessarily good at, 10 years ago, even. It's something that I've worked on hard to basically getting out of my comfort zone is really what that is, getting out of my comfort zone and going up and talking to someone. And yeah, I've been able to practice that for a long time now. And I get joy out of connecting people. Like, regardless of what I get out of it, obviously if I'm connecting a business seller to a business buyer, then I'm going to get a commission, and that's awesome. But also I just enjoy like helping people connect, like if solving a problem or, like you said, when I'm meeting someone and learning about them and I'm like, man, you should meet this person, like that gives me joy. And so, yeah, I like doing that. And it really, really is fitting for the business brokerage world because that's what I do all the time. Connect people.
I love it. All right. We try to keep these episodes typically 30 to 40 minutes long. We're getting towards the end of that. How can people get a hold of you? How can they do business with you? How we find you?
Yeah. So pretty simple. You can call me on my cell phone or text. My number is 806-853-0833. You can email me. My email is tnoble, TNOBLE @tworld.com. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And I may not get back to you in an hour, but I should get back to you within a day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. We'd like to have you pretty regularly just to check in and give an update on what's going on as we build out this ecosystem in West Texas. So I hope you'll join us again. But thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your vulnerability as always. And thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening today. If you got value out of that podcast, if you want more of the same, if you want more lessons learned from experts, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe now and keep coming back. We have a lot more in store, and we're really excited about this first season of the podcast. And as always, if you feel stuck in your business, if you feel like you've hit a plateau and can't grow, if you feel like you're out of control and you're working too much in the business, reach out to us at stagcoaching.com and fill out our business assessment. It's free. It'll tell you what's going on in your business, where you're weak, and where you can improve. And we would love to help you and love to guide you along on the right track and get you to where you want to go in a fraction of the time. Thank you.